There are so many variations of pull-ups. Why would you use all of them? Well, maybe not all at once, but can you use them strategically? And will I tell you how and why to use them and when? Yes, let's go do it right now. Folks, I'm gonna try to cover 15 variations of pull-ups to get you guys a real holistic look at the landscape, to figure out what the pull-up variations are for, when they should be used, what their beneficial uses are, and kind of maybe what their limitations are, and maybe some stuff they don't do that people think they do. So we're gonna get right from the top of this list. These are not in order of importance, they're not in order of effect. Each and every single one of these has a time and a place. Folks, the RP Strength summer sale is upon us. We've got tons of savings on all of our apps and a bunch of digital products. Click in the link down below in the description, and let's get started with today's video. The first style of pull-up we are going to show is the wide grip pull-up. It's just a classic. Grandpa did it, Dad did it. He even had a union job and was a real American. Like, you'll never be you, Max the editor boy. What's the current generation called? The
XYZ.
Yeah, one of those generations. Wide grip pull-ups are totally cool. They have a bit of a downside. They don't allow either your biceps, your rear delts, or the musculature of your back, including your lats, to get a very deep stretch by design, because you're so out wide that the deep stretch can't possibly occur. So they're probably not like the greatest pull-up variant of all time, and a lot of people aren't in love with them because they tend to kind of irritate the shoulder joint. However, try them. They're an amazing variant if you just want to give it a shot. Sometimes you've been through enough pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups could totally be the answer to spice up your workout routine, as long as they're feeling good on your shoulders and everything else is totally fine. Next up is the medium grip overhand pull-up. It is the pull-up. It is the workhorse of the pull-ups. It's generally very comfortable for almost everyone. It's very well tolerated. If you have to default, this is your pull-up. It hits a lot of the forearm flexors. It hits the biceps decently, it hits the rear delts really well, and it hits the lats super well. If you're gonna start doing pull-ups, especially if you're doing pull-ups weighted or doing them with some kind of partner assistance, these are probably the pull-ups you wanna start with, and then you can broaden your horizons at another point to get to all the different variations. This next pull-up is a little rare, and it's not for everyone. It is the narrow grip pull-up. The narrow grip pull-up has a variety of grips that you can use, and it's always gonna be overhand, but it's by definition going to be inside of your shoulder width. It can feel a little strange. However, it really prioritizes the rear delts a ton because it allows them to get into that stretch at the very top. Many people think this is an awkward movement, but after using it for a little while, they tend to like it. And for some people, it hits right off the bat. Same dynamics as with all the other pull-ups. We'll talk about this in a bit, but there's different heights you can pull to. Just make sure you're controlling that eccentric. And if you're gonna try narrow pull-ups for the first time, warm up with them. Don't just jump into them, because it can feel a little bit awkward. You can do a lot of medium grip regular pull-ups overhand till you're blue in the face and get huge back and huge delts and huge forearm flexors. But it's just gonna get stale after a while. And because for a lot of people, wide grip pull-ups just aren't the answer to the shoulder joints, sometimes, especially if your wrist can take it and if you're using Versa grips, the narrow pull-up can do really, really good work. So give it a shot. The parallel pull-up is also known as the neutral grip pull-up. I don't know, is this Switzerland or some shit? Why the fuck is it called neutral? Who the hell knows? The parallel grip pull-up is an awesome movement, especially because it lets you track your elbows in front of your body. I was gonna say shoulders, wasn't I? And it really puts a lot of tension on the lats. So if you really wanna hammer your lats instead of your overall back, the parallel grip pull-up is a really, really good idea to try. A lot of times you tend to be very strong in this movement. So if you've been experimenting with thinking about putting some weight on a weight belt to do weighted pull-ups, which we'll get to later, then parallel pull-ups could be the thing that you jump off on and get the most reps with the most weight that you ever could. I've been called underhanded before, mostly because I'm a liar and a fraud. But that brings me to my next point. The underhand pull-up is an incredible tool in your arsenal. It does tend to hit the biceps a little bit more, and especially if you do it with a slightly closer grip, it can be an awesome combination of arm and back work. Also, because it rotates your lats in, it pulls on them a bunch, and it's actually an awesome movement for lats and rear delts and biceps all at the same time. Another thing is you can be very strong with this movement. Careful at the very bottom, because the tension can get kind of crazy as your lats are being pulled out. Definitely warm up, and don't you dare cheat this movement. When you do the underhand pull-up, you go to a full stretch dead hang. That's how you get the most out of the movement, not the least. Most people doing the underhands will do a pull-up we will demonstrate later. It's a total bullshit version of a pull-up that hardly works. Don't do that full range of motion all the way through. Here's another thing. These pull-ups are not for everyone. A lot of the time, wide grip pull-ups are a no-go for people's shoulders. For most people, especially when they get used to it, it's totally fine. Underhand pull-ups, especially if you're a meatier, more jacked king or queen, it starts to be an external wrist rotating problem where you're trying to supinate and your fingers just stop going. And then at the very bottom, it can actually cause some pain in your wrists, elbows, or shoulders, depending on which joint decides to take the heat in the underhand pull-up. So a lot of times, if you can get an underhand setup that's somewhere between neutral and / parallel or underhand, maybe 45 degrees, that's really money. So if you can't do these on a straight bar, don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong. A lot of people can't do them. No love lost. There are plenty of other pull-up variations that you can use. This next grouping of pull-up variations you can do with any of the grips. But this grouping is going to be about how high you pull up. And the first pull-up variation here is the sternum pull-up variation. That's right. Every time you come up, you touch your sternum, which is to say right below your chest, to the bar, and then slowly control all the way down. These are incredibly effective, but really, really hard. If you're lighter or very strong for your body weight, these can be amazing. If you're just getting into pull-ups, you're not super light, you're not super strong yet, these are gonna be a no-go. If you're using a bunch of weight already for normal pull-ups, 45 or more, and you want a really cool variation that hits a little bit different, hits a bit more of the mid-back, you're gonna wanna try these because they are awesome. And if there's girls at the gym, or even guys, and you wanna flex, doing a couple reps of sternum pull-ups, to the people that know, they know. The oogly eyes are gonna be on full blast. If sternum pull-ups are a bit too tough for you, you can challenge yourself in a slightly lower grade, pulling all the way to your clavicles. Pull-ups pulled to the clavicles are really, really tough. Not quite as hard as sternum pull-ups, because you're missing about, well, for me, this is 12 inches, am I right? They are way harder than regular pull-ups. If you can do 10 strict clavicle pull-ups with your own body weight, you are nonsense superhero level strong. These are really challenging. They can be done with any kind of grip, and they are super effective. So if you're training with calisthenics equipment, you're training out in the park, you're training at the zoo, wherever you do shit like this, if you either don't want to put a weight belt on or your gym doesn't have one, doing sternum pull-ups and or clavicle pull-ups is an amazing way to progress in pull-ups and then later be able to do way more pull-ups to regular heights, which we'll talk about next, because these are way, way, way challenging. As usual, as soon as you touch the top, start controlling that eccentric right from the get-go all the way through, you get maximum benefit. Next is the standard height to which most people do a pull-up, or should anyway. It is the chin. The chin is great because you can even touch the bar with your chin if you want for that extra standardization, or just approximate it, no big deal. This is a pull-up that's challenging. It's standardized, so you can count reps really easy in your RPI hypertrophy app or however you track your reps, and it is insanely effective. And the good news is, because you get much of the benefit of exercise for muscle growth from that stretch anyway, pull-ups to the chin are just as effective as the ones to the clavicle and the sternum, and potentially even more so. So if you can only do chin pull-ups, no big deal. You're doing probably one of the best kinds of pull-ups that there are. Next up is the partial pull-up, and the bottom end part is the part that grows the most muscle in pull-ups. The bottom end part is also really, really tough in many cases, and a lot of people just kind of want to stay in the mid-range. Go all the way down to a dead hang, hold for a second, and then come up, typically to where the bar is roughly eye level or just above your head. That way, it's the bottom half of the pull-up, but it's standardized every single time. These you can do on their own if you're not yet strong enough to do a full pull-up to the chin. No big deal, they're an excellent tool. You can do them even if you're strong enough after you've done multiple sets of pull-ups to the chin or pull-ups to the clavicle or the sternum. Now that you're more tired, you can still do partials. And bonus round, if you're a really jacked, strong king or queen, and even a court jester, I might add. What? That didn't make any sense. What you can do is do conventional pull-ups, let's say to the chin or to the clavicle or to the sternum. And as soon as you're done with those, literally missing no beat or just resting for 10 seconds, then you do as many bottom end partials as you can. Each set ends up being a superset. That means that you're taking the muscles really, really close to failure. When they're at their most lengthened position, that's going to cause a lot of muscle growth. If you really want bonus points, you're just out there mogging people and being a calisthenics master / god / VIP person for whom they don't have a club room in the back. You have your own club type, Chris area level. What you can do is the ultimate pull-up bodyweight set, which is when you do as many pull-ups as you can to the sternum, you do as many pull-ups as you can to the clavicle with either no rest or a small amount of rest or even normal rest, and then you do as many pull-ups as you can to the chin, and then you do as many pull-ups as you can to the top of your head or your eyes. That's like 4 sets of pull-ups, all of them accommodating increasingly more exposing of that lengthened position. You're gonna have such big lats afterwards that your club that you go to, your own club for your own shit, you won't be able to go anymore because you'll be wider than the door to your own club. A problem I've never had because I don't go to clubs and have no friends. More pull-ups. Weighted pull-ups. Most of the weight of pull-ups comes from the demons that you carry around with you since childhood. But if that's not enough, what you can do is add weight, typically with a dip belt. You can thread a dumbbell and hook your legs into it. I don't love that because then you have to spend a lot of mental bandwidth making sure to keep your legs closed. Back in my younger days when I was a young woman, I couldn't keep my legs closed at all. I don't love the dumbbell and the legs thing. You can do it if you want. Another thing is if you have a weightlifting belt or powerlifting belt, just loosen it up, put it in the most loose notch, thread a dumbbell into the front, and you're good to go. Then it doesn't move or shake. That's a good idea. But ideally, a dip belt is awesome. And here's the thing, fellas. If your gym doesn't have a dip belt, they have this crazy unlock you're gonna love. It's gonna be super confusing. You can go on Amazon and get one of them shits for like $20. And I know you have $20, motherfucker. You go out to eat, just don't do that one night. And now you got a dip belt coming in through Amazon. Thanks, Jeff Bezos. But on a serious note, weighted pull-ups are goated and they're amazing. Why? Because at some point you can do so many pull-ups that it's just like sets of 15 and 20 and you might actually get your best pumps and you might get a really good variation stimulus just going heavier. Another thing is this. In order to make progress, you can absolutely periodize reps, but that gets boring at some point. You're doing 15 reps one week, 15 and a half the next, and a rep is a big jump for pull-ups. So sometimes you can go on smaller increments and use weight even if you're not super strong. And what I'm saying here is this. If your maximum ability to do pull-ups is like 8 pull-ups, you can still do sets of 5 or sets of 6 with weight. And here's my biggest point on weighted pull-ups. A lot of people think weighted pull-ups are like, well, I either get a 25 or a 45 or 8 45s and I'll start doing this shit. Absolutely not. The best way to do pull-ups is like you do any other progressive loaded movement, which means the first time you do weighted pull-ups, if you're doing it right, it's a very good idea to just get the weight belt, make sure no one sees you doing this because it's embarrassing. Put a 2.5 pounder in that mug. And all of a sudden it's like, well, this is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? No, it's not. Because next week you put another 2.5 on, next week another, and next week another. And after a few weeks, you're using 10 pounds. There's never this crazy shock. The movement dynamic doesn't change. And all of a sudden, you're actually doing weighted pull-ups. If you can only do 5 to 10 pull-ups regular, and you're like, I have no idea how I'm ever going to do weighted pull-ups because every time I try to put the 25 on, I can do like 2. The problem is you're just not progressing and periodizing in a really decent way. You start with 2.5s, you keep loading them shits on, you go to a 5, 7.5, 10, and so on and so forth. After a few months, you are confidently doing 15 pounds for sets of 6. Now you're about ready to do the 25s for something meaningful. Weighted pull-ups are awesome. Use small increments. That's the big unlock. Weighted pull-ups are awesome. And they work. But there's also a way to do negative weighted pull-ups, aka assisted pull-ups. Assisted pull-ups are amazing if you have that machine. And they're amazing for people of 2 kinds. One, folks that just aren't strong enough relative to their body weight yet to do a lot of pull-ups. If you can do a maximum of 4 pull-ups or something like that per set with your own body weight, geez, it's kind of hard to train for hypertrophy when hypertrophy rep range is 5 sets or more in most cases. But with assisted pull-ups, you can put 40 or 60 pounds or even 100 pounds right in the stack, and then you can do sets of 8 12, 15, and more pull-ups, get a ton of volume, a ton of stimulus, and over time, use a little bit less weight and a little bit less weight and a little bit less weight, where eventually you try your hand at regular pull-ups again. Now, instead of doing sets of 2 to 4 reps for unweighted pull-ups or for regular pull-ups without the assistance machine, now you can do sets of 6, sets of 8, sets of 10, and you're well on your way. You just unlocked your way to regular pull-ups using assisted pull-ups. A lot of people ask me when they see me in the street, like, hey, Dr. Ike, you're that guy with the weird head from YouTube. I'm like, yeah, why? What's up? What's going on? Like, how do I get better at pull-ups? My usual answer is assisted pull-ups. They get you into the right rep range for hypertrophy. They build fucking lats, big biceps, big rear delts. You take those big muscles to regular pull-ups and all of a sudden you're a king. That's just the first way to use them. The second way to use them is if you're already big and strong, but you're fatigued and you want variation in rep range. For me, I'll do weighted pull-ups in many workouts. In the same workout, I'll do a few sets of unweighted pull-ups, but now I'm tired. And if I go right to the assisted pull-up machine and do multiple sets of higher reps, sets of 15, after 4 sets of pull-ups, I can't do 15 reps of even unweighted pull-ups, but I can sure do 15 reps if I have 100 pounds of resistance added to me instead of subtracted. So assisted pull-ups are huge for everyone and they're amazing. And my one last tip for assisted pull-ups is really focus on the mind-muscle connection. It's been shown time and again in the research that if you focus too much on the mind-muscle connection, you can actually reduce the neural drive to the target muscles. That's no good. Pull-ups are often so hard, you need to keep all of your bandwidth open for just trying really hard with good technique. Don't think about the muscles, just think about moving. Assisted pull-ups, the world is your oyster. You can choose anything you want in the select dry stack. That's an opportunity not to go for ego shit, but an opportunity to really lock in and feel your lats opening up all the way through your biceps, your rear delts. Then assisted pull-ups become an awesome chiseling tool to make you even better at pull-ups, getting an even bigger back, and finally getting that ass laid. I think. You have a problem. I already know what it is. You don't have an assisted pull-up machine, and you don't have $3,500 to purchase the machine and bring it into your home gym. But I know what you do have, friends. I've read about them on the internet. Other people have them. And if you have a friend, they can help you with our next variation of pull-ups, which is the partner-assisted pull-up. Yeah, it's a little weird looking. Yes, there's going to be a lot of their face and kind of your butthole, but that's fun and that's what friends are for. The best way to do assisted pull-ups with a partner is the following. We know from really good science, there's a slight chance, although pretty decent one I would say, that the lowering eccentric phase causes a little bit more muscle growth for less fatigue than the concentric raising phase in a pull-up. So what we're going to do is your partner is going to grab underneath your feet. Don't cross your feet, just put your feet directly up behind you. Your partner is going to grab right on your shoelaces, take a big old whiff of that ass, and is going to help you all the way up to the top. And then on the way down, they're going to keep their hands in position, but they're going to unload by maybe 20 or 30 pounds of resistance. So we're talking about maybe 60 pounds on the way up, and then 20 or 30 pounds on the way down. 60 pounds on the way up, 20 or 30 on the way down. That means not only are they assisting you to do more pull-up reps, but they are also giving you an accentuated eccentric load, which has some support in literature to grow even more muscle and strength. So if you can do a lot of pull-ups, you can do this at the end of the set. If you can do a lot of pull-ups, you can do this at his own set after a bunch of sets of weighted pull-ups or unweighted pull-ups. Or if you can't do a lot of pull-ups, this is a great way for you to be able to get some really good reps, some really good eccentric exposure, and the best thing of all, some good closeness with your friend. Plural. You can also ask random strangers to do this in the gym, but that doesn't typically work out so well from experience. Frank, I'm sorry. Can we still be friends? You might run into a problem with partner-assisted pull-ups. You got no partner, and everyone at the gym already knows you smell, so when you make eye contact for partner-assisted, they just all pretend that no one exists. No worries. You can do an eccentric-only pull-up. These are tough. These are especially good if you're really trying to master pull-up technique and you aren't strong enough yet or light enough yet to be able to do real pull-ups by yourself. No shame in the game. Me personally, I don't even know what the hell shame feels like. I only wear clothes because the government says they'll take me to jail if I go naked in public. That completely aside, here's how you do these. You get a nice tall box. You put it a little bit behind the pull-up attachment at your gym. And then you come all the way up. I said tall box, I meant tall. You set up the box that at your full adult height, the box is close to your chin area. So boom, you have the bar right here. And then, as is done in the old-timey movies with some modifications and not rope this time, what you do is you step forward gently, and then you ride the eccentric down off of that tall box. That gives you that huge eccentric loading. You want maximum control. Don't just fall. Ride it down. And if you really want a lot of the movement, try to go really slow, because you have to step all the way back up onto the box, walk around, step up, and do it again. You can't do sets of 10 of this shit. It's gonna drive you wild. Sets of 2 or 3 at a time with good rest. But here's the thing, because you got all the way up there, make time count. I'm talking about 6, 8, 10 seconds riding that eccentric, especially right from the top. Right from the top, you lock in and go slow, 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 slow. Right in the middle is gonna be really tough. Really go slow all the way down. It's gonna be an amazing movement. If you can do, 10, 12-second eccentric like that after a few months of practicing, you might realize that, hey, you can finally do some pull-ups. So this trick you put in to your I want to do a first pull-up or first couple of pull-ups arsenal, it's going to work out really, really well. Band-assisted pull-ups are next. I'm not in love with these. I like them. I meet them every couple of weekends when all my other text scrolling doesn't get me the people I want to be in touch with. I'll watch a movie with them, maybe a Heej or a Beej here and there, but nothing like a terrible connection. Why? Because the bands make the pull-up really easy at the bottom and really hard at the top. That's the opposite of the force curve you want for maximum growth. However, if you don't have an assisted pull-up machine, if you don't have any friends to help you on the partner-assisted pull-ups, if you don't have a high box or just don't feel like doing 12-second eccentrics, band-assisted pull-ups are totally fine. Really control that eccentric at the very top to get the most out of it when it's the hardest. At the very bottom, use the band to kind of rebound out and go faster, catch some wind, come all the way up, and then really control the eccentric is probably the best way to do these. These you can do conventional for normal sets and reps. The best way to do the band, there's 2 ways, a good way and a fun way. The good way is to take the band, loop it around the pull-up bar, and take your foot and step right down into it. Then you move your other foot into it at the same time, and you're riding, you're good to go. The fun way is to step one foot in at first, and then instead of stepping the other foot in, you slide the band over and let it zip right into your testicles. And if you're a lady, that might also feel fun. Then I'm not sure what you do after that. Probably cry. The last pull-up variation we saved for last because it is the least. It sucks. This isn't what to do, it's what not to do. In its mid-range bro pull-ups, here's why you should do these. You're a coward, so you can't admit the fact that you're just not strong enough to do an impressive number of pull-ups. But you also have a giant overinflated ego, so you want people to understand that you can do pull-ups. So you jump up on the bar, you get to right where the pull-ups are easier, somewhere in that mid-range, or even close to the top and up here. You huff and puff and make a lot of noise. You can even use these with weight to prove to people that you're too big of an egotistical idiot to take the weight off, but also you have a teeny tiny little fragile ego so that you need the weight so that people understand that you're strong. You can do these pull-ups anytime. At gyms across America, you'll be swimming in a sea of compatriots because damn near everyone trains like this. If you want to impress Muscle Mommy, however, or Chad Lifter, weightlifter guy who has VersaGrips, weightlifting shoes, and he's all kitted out, you'll never do it like this. So if you want to be a real man or woman, you're going to do pull-ups full range because you want maximum benefits, and your ego is something you leave at the door when you go to the gym. And when you pick it up, make sure you find your labeled ego, because if you pick up someone else's ego, it just gets kind of weird, I guess. Folks, a last tip here is pull-up training is mostly about training your forearm flexors, brachialis, brachioradialis, biceps, etc. It's about training your rear delts, and it's about training all the musculature of your back. Your forearms, your grip, can be trained by itself, and you don't want to let it interfere with your pull-up training. If you're failing on pull-ups, or if you feel weak on pull-ups because you're on your fingertips, you're not doing justice to all of the other muscles. There are 2 good solutions to this problem. One is chalk. I love chalk. I eat the shit. Put it under my eyelids, the whole thing. Get a lot of chalk going, rub the chalk on the bar. You guys like this? You can 100% get a ton out of chalk. It's awesome. The problem with chalk is it doesn't travel well, and a lot of gym owners are pretty upset with you if you make chalk dust for everyone and the hypoallergenic girl is coughing in the corner. VersaGrips are incredible. Straps are cool, but if you kind of try to strap in and you're doing it in pull-ups, you're doing it high, it ends up being that they loosen as soon as you go. they're not goated at all. VersaGrips, loop, loop, lock in, and then you can just fingertip hold them. You get full transduction of power. It's been shown time and time again in studies that if you don't have a good grip on something when you're pulling it, your musculature for pulling, not just the grip, experiences less activation and less growth. But if you're locked in, even if it's not under your own power, you can 100% just do more and get more of a result. VersaGrips, I'm sure we have a code somewhere. There's a link in the description, no doubt. Get them shits because they are unbelievable. Not just for pull-ups, for assisted pull-ups, pull-downs, all the delt stuff, all the hamstring work you want. They're amazing. Check them out. Folks, I've spent a lot of my time pulling on things. Yes, you guessed it, the male genital anatomy. My own, in fact. Many of you are not going to be able to replicate my exact feat because you don't have access to micro pincers and a microscopy device. Me, I'm a dedicated man. For you, pull-ups. You now know a bunch of ways to do them. You can mix and match them, and you have the ultimate arsenal to become a pull-up king or queen, to get an enormous back, and it's just going to be the new way you live. You're going to ask everyone, the server, the car dealership guy, hey, how many pull-ups can you do? Here's a tip. As soon as they even start to answer, be like, yeah, cool, I can do 22. Just cut people off. You don't need to hear what they say. It's been all about you this entire time. What's that? You've got to go do you shit? See you next time for the next video.